Well, happy birthday, first off.
Happy birthday, me.
You said that in there before the movie started. I go like, oh shit, well, happy birthday. Thanks for coming to the movies with me.
I was just gonna waste it at home anyway.
And then we both started talking of like, yeah, that's true. When you reach a certain point, like we do have to be reminded
40.
sometime. Yeah.
Generally, though, for
It's
me,
that
it
point.
was, I think 43 was the first time where I had to, like, do the math in my head. I'm like, how old am I?
I still do.
I'm 46, and I only know that because somebody wished me a happy 46.
Dude, yeah, I mean, hell, I think even earlier today, I was filling out some paperwork and just like, am I 44 yet, or am I 43?
Yeah,
like
that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that only started, right around 43. I remember 42 because of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I remember 40 because that was a big one. 41 1 year later, but yeah, somewhere around 43, it was like got harder for me to just do the math in my head, and I would just always remember my age, and that was the first year I'm like, I remember, and I think by about 44, I'm just like, I just don't give a shit.
When I
don't
stopped
care.
planning things for my birthday, I think for me it was
that's the big thing. It's like right around 40, I stopped planning things.
I know.
Like 40, I did plan something just because I'm like, well, it's
it was 40.
the big 4-0.
Yeah.
7 years up on Jesus. So, I don't know.
I told you in there too about. I think for me, the first time for me was we might have been doing a con or something. I think it had to have been before we moved up here because I think we were doing a con because I was staying over at Doug's, and then he woke me up in the morning and said, "Is today your birthday?" I'm like, oh yeah, and he goes, "Yeah, I just saw that on Facebook."
That sounds like Doug. Happy birthday, I guess. Get out of my house.
I'll be getting 2 hot dogs at the convention today. I should have gotten you some of the birthday cake cookie dough bites in there.
Good. I got my Reese's Pieces.
They knew it was.
I love Reese's Pieces, but I normally don't get them because like they're probably the worst thing you can get outside of just straight up popcorn, which you got.
Which I feel, my
actually, the
weakness.
popcorn itself isn't that bad. It's when you just douse it in the butter and salt.
Yeah, I just put a little bit on top, and that must have been why they didn't show the Bride Hard trailer in front of this one.
I was so disappointed. I was like, I want to see it again to make sure that wasn't a.
That it wasn't. I swear that was real. Was this a good movie for your birthday?
I honestly I liked it.
I did too.
Okay. I don't, so here's the thing. I don't watching. I saw the first 2 John Wick movies.
Yeah.
I have not seen any since then. It's not that I didn't like them. I really enjoyed them. It just somehow was a series that I missed one, and then I fell off and just kind of thought, I'll catch up at some point. And then this came out, and you invited me to this, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm the right person to see this. I haven't said because I heard this takes place, I guess, between 3 and 4.
Kind of parallel because it does tie into a couple of scenes that I remember from.
But the funny thing is, having only seen the first 2, I'm just like, okay, I know what's going. Like, Ian McShane's here. You got the Continental. You got I'm like, okay, and I feel like anything I don't know, it's not a very complicated plot.
No.
I'm like, I don't feel like I needed to see the other ones. The only thing that, may make a difference is if other people have seen the other John Wick movies, like, oh my God, this is so much better than this piece of crap. I couldn't tell you because I haven't seen them. I only saw the first 2, and did I like the first 2 more? Yeah, but I didn't dislike this at all.
No, I did really, really enjoy it. And really, I would say that if you have only seen the first 2 like you have, you're good going into this. That's what I thought. I'm like, the movie, as I said, it's not very complicated, and you can just figure that it's an origin story for her. So I'm like, it told me everything I needed to know. I'm like, I wasn't missing out on anything. If you haven't gone into John Wick at all, then
it's a little problematic, but you could figure it out, I think.
You could go along with it. It helps if you know what
It does help.
It does help if you know at least what this world is, like everything that they explain in the first one with the
Why is
Continental.
Keanu Reeves in this for 10 minutes?
You're right. Oh, so
Every time he showed up, like the first time he shows up, they have that thing like, this date or whatever Keanu Reeves. I just wanted to say like $10,000 for 5 minutes of screen time, like however much they were paying him.
For the most part, they did a good job of combining this story with the lore that they've set up in the other movies. They work in Ian McShane, Lance Reddick, everything with the Continental well, the stuff with Angelica Houston. They bring that in well.
Sorry, your phone's
The
just
first, oh right, yeah. The I got my light up there behind the camera.
It's bright.
The first couple of times Keanu Reeves was in this, in those scenes, then, and I don't know if this is the case, but then in those scenes, I was like, okay, now it's feeling a little like spec scripty, like that this was something else and then turned into something to be in the John Wick universe. I don't know if that's the case.
But the funny thing is I can almost, there's like one scene where I'm like, because apparently there were extensive reshoots.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny because I didn't notice it really as much as I would have thought. Like, there's only one scene, and it's like a shootout with Keanu after he takes that one special shot. And I mean, I don't know if you can spoil anything in this movie, really, but like, and it just felt like there was not a lot of martial arts. It was just him firing the gun a lot.
Yeah.
And it just had that vibe of like, it was a very enclosed set. I'm like, this has reshoot vibe. I'm like, I'll bet this was one scene they had where they're just like, we just need a little more Keanu. Not just enough,
It wouldn't surprise me because he has a couple of scenes in this that you could lose and it doesn't change anything about this movie.
If I'm being really honest, you need him at all.
Yeah, I agree.
There's like one scene where he is essential, but I feel like you could have found a way around it.
I completely agree.
That's not to say, but I will say, like, that's what's so weird about this movie. Like, I didn't. This is like one of those days. Like, I'm super busy. I'm doing a bunch of title cards for Walter's Universal thing. It's my birthday. My dad had important tests done because he had a big health scare, which it turns out is fine. So, happy birthday, me. That's awesome. But was running like a migraine because we got this wildfire smoke. We have the worst air quality, by the way.
I got that alert earlier.
Apparently in the world right now. And I'm like, that's why I'm just like, my sinuses are stuffed. And so I was really kind of sitting here thinking, I'm like, it's my birthday. Like, maybe I do just want to spend it in. Like, I was like, maybe I could see it with Brad on Saturday. And then it was like, I checked out the review because I'm like, well, let's kind of see what this movie said. It's like 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, okay. And I'm like, I normally don't read reviews ever because I don't like to know going in. But it was one of those, I was like, let's get a vibe for this. So I read like one of the early reviews that stuck out. And it was saying, it's pretty decent. It does some things different, this and that, but there's flamethrower action at the end.
That was incredible.
I sat there and I was like, I was so ready to like not go see this today and to try to push it to Saturday. I sat there and I was just like, flamethrower action, and I'm like, I gotta do this. And I will say, I was promised flamethrower action.
Yeah.
Boy, did I get
it. I knew it was a good idea to wear my Canon Films t-shirt to go this. Oh my God. We got some hardcore exterminator action in this.
Oh my God. So that alone was worth the price of admission. And then I kept reading just like, this is like extensive reshoots and it's been in production hell and this and that. So I really was, based on that and normally how that tracks with most movies and studios, I really thought this was not going to be that good at all, or just the very definition of like mid.
Sure.
And I don't know, I actually had a really good time.
I did too. My main concern going in was I didn't know if I'd get bored with it. The reason why I say that is, no, I like the first two movies a lot. I've seen all of them. And the third one I was still cool with. The series started losing me a little at a point in the third one that involves a rooftop and a gunshot. in one scene, and then I was like,
I know. So the funny thing is, I've heard about this. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I've seen a clip of the scene, and I'm like, how?
And then the fourth one was a lot more of stuff like that, and I don't know about but it was longer than it needed to be, and it did get exhausting. Like it was.
Well, that was the other selling point, which is I'm like, okay, flamethrower action.
Yeah.
I'm in. But then my second thought was, oh god, though, flamethrower action. I'm like, that sounds really cool, but it's gonna be at the end, and I'm like, is this gonna be another Mission Impossible Final Reckoning? Am I gonna have to sit there an hour and a half to get to the cool stuff in the last hour? And I'm gonna be sitting in the movie theater for 3.5 hours with trailers and everything. So I looked up the runtime, and it's like 2 hours. I'm like, sold.
Perfect.
I'm in. Okay. I'm like, and this was, I wouldn't say this is mercifully short. That would be about an hour and a half, but this was like just exactly the right amount of time.
It was reminding me more so of the first two than it did the later ones, when they got a little too long, a little too much, a little bit too, again, exhausting. Whereas this, all the action that's in this, and it is a lot, they are, flamethrower scene included, they are very inventive. They are funny. They use their locations really, really well.
Oh my god, some of the... It's funny because at first there was a little bit where I thought, like, this movie could be funnier, because there'd be an occasional funny moment. I'm like, I go for more like that. I took it back at that scene in the restaurant, where she's fighting the waitress and the dinner plates, and I like,
oh my
God. I thought like I was the only one laughing, but I lost my shit and I couldn't stop laughing because it was like directly out of Evil Dead 2, where Bruce Campbell's like smashing himself on the head with the plates, and like these two just whoosh, whoosh. It was like a Three Stooges routine. It was hilarious.
They would literally do that in the movie. Like they would throw these gags in there that would catch you off guard and would get a laugh, like that part that involves the television.
Yeah,
had the Three Stooges and Buster Keaton in it.
The TV, with the remote control and over the head. The other one, there's very strange jokes where it's like, if you're not paying attention, it took me a second even to get it, because like the black guy who was running the weapons store, that she was Frank. But the funny thing is, I didn't see the name tag.
Oh, I did, because they got in closer on him when he said his name.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, after that, like, they start moving in, but from where we are, that name tag's like lower right-hand side of the screen, and his face is front and center, so I'm looking at his face. That's where your eye line generally is going to be if somebody's talking, and he just says, "Let me be Frank," and I hear these snickers from the audience. I'm like, all right, what's so funny? And as my eyes kind of trail down to the lower right, the name tag says Frank.
I saw it as soon as he said it. I'm like,
can I be Frank?
That is such a dumb joke, but I got a laugh out of it. It was executed fairly well.
It's one of those, like, it may work better on a big screen, because you're not always going to... If it was on a small screen, I probably would have... On my own TV, I would have seen it right away, but... You know, we weren't front row, but we were like, what, one row back or something?
Yeah.
So we were just close enough where it's just like, if it's out of my peripheral vision, or just in the peripheral vision, I'm not seeing, but I'm like, okay, that was like stupidly funny. Like, that was so dumb, it actually worked.
The various ways that she figures out how to blow up people in this, whether it is strapping a grenade to the mouth with duct tape, or behind a door, or...
no, the brilliant, like, these scenes are just brilliantly set up.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of them, there was... I love that bit where she's at the club, and you've seen nothing. There is no action. It is just her leaving this building, but basically seeing everything she had done beforehand. Yeah. So you see, like, all these dead guys, and my favorite, she's looting the bodies of the knives she used to kill them, like we're fucking playing like some RPG. Yeah. Like, it just like, loot body, yes, you picked up a knife. So she's pulling knives out of her, like, she goes up in the elevator, like, and you just see all this carnage, of which you had seen nothing, but you could put together in your head what happened. Then she goes out to the car, where the car is rammed into somebody's just impaled in the fucking wall.
And
she pulls out of there, goes straight out, and then there's a fantastic scene. I won't spoil it, but let's just say she comes hurling back in what was one of the better, like, it was, I took a close look. I'm like, okay, this is CGI, but the concept of it was really funny. And I'm like, this, even though this was like a CGI bit here, it was really, it was so funny in execution that I'm willing to overlook that. But there was a ton of practical effects too.
Oh no, there is. I mean, like all of these movies, the stunt work, the choreography is all really good.
And the cinematography, the setup of like that scene where she like the one shoves the grenade in the mouth, and like as she's sneaking up behind him, you saw her shadow first in the spotlight, and then like those little touches I love in an action movie.
And I loved little touches that they added to the plot in this too, to make it feel slightly different, because it is another revenge story, but there's enough different things to it that it's different than what we were seeing in the first John Wick film.
There's two like separate things. Like one is like, it's just a slight problem really for me, and the other is like a pro. Like, it's different. In the one hand, it's kind of a con a bit, because like John Wick, the puppy, and the like, it was so kind of ridiculous of an idea that it seemed much more original. Even though it is a basic revenge story. This one, if you've seen any Marvel movie, if you've seen Black Widow, it is like that origin story. Like, I've seen it 1,000 times, but it's done quick, effective, and I'm like, okay, so it's like that's a slight downgrade. The upgrade, though, I thought is like making her like a ballerina, and that
it's like Red Sparrow.
Yeah, that whole shtick in the beginning about like, fight dirty, cheat, do whatever you have to. I actually really enjoyed that. But when she said like fight like a girl, I'm like, what's she gonna do? Grab his hair and pull it out? Like, that's every girl fight I've seen in high school. But no, I like that, and I like the fact that like John Wick himself always seemed like, I don't want to say plot armor, but like there's something about him that seems a little more invincible. I feel like she gets the much more rough end of a fight, and then like they have her like weasel her way out of it, or find ways to kind of like, pardon the pun, dance around it. But that made a lot of these like fights, I think, more interesting to watch.
Yeah, and I felt like I wasn't seeing just the same fights from the other one again. Even down to, there's the Red Sparrow aspect to the plot, but I also like, and again, this is the type of thing I've seen.
It's so quick, though. Yeah. Like, it never ever stays its welcome.
No, it doesn't, but I did like that we actually got to see the character in this be trained beforehand.
Oh, I enjoyed. The funny thing is, this may be one of the few times where I'm like, I could have done more with the training montage, because some of that stuff was really fun.
Yeah.
I just the whole paintball rubber bullets thing, and she keeps getting taken out, which may explain why. And this is a problem I have with, I think, almost all these movies, is like, for hardcore assassins, they always seem to make really stupid moves. I mean, they're always getting knocked on the head or something, or not checking their six or whatever. When you see how she's training, I'm like, well, that was like literally her number one problem.
Yeah.
So, it's just something, it's a habit I guess dies hard with her, where it's like, check your six, stupid.
One thing I kind of appreciate about this is that the villains in it are this cult, like literally a cult of assassins. Yeah, that live in like an eternal Oktoberfest village run by
I think it's supposed to be Switzerland.
I couldn't remember.
Or maybe like, Austria.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what they said. But the fact that it's run by Gabriel Byrne was also making me think, like, you could add a little, like, rewrite in here and just have him be Satan again from End of Days.
There you go.
Running a assassination.
I was saying that. A part of me was thinking, like, is this just Kaiser Soze? Because he was kind of almost Kaiser Soze in Usual Suspects.
Yeah,
but, no, the funny thing about that is, so I saw the first two movies, and then, like, Gabriel Byrne's there, and I'm like, okay, and then Ian McShane shows up, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, I never realized how, like, these two look like if you had a Bethesda game, and you had your little character creator at the beginning, and you're like, oh, you've got a Gabriel Byrne face. It's like, all right, well, let's just, like, add like 10 pounds, like stretch out the cheeks a little, the nose a bit. I'm like, oh, now you have Ian McShane. I'm like, I had to blink for a second. When Ian McShane showed up, I'm like, oh, I thought that was Gabriel Byrne for a second.
Oh, like, I was thinking Gabriel Byrne, because here's what I like about this. Basically, the villains in this are the villains from the Pureflix John Wick movie, Beckman, where David R. White was, I think he was he also trying to rescue a kid in that? But the villains were like this cult, where in that it was Billy Baldwin was like the leader or something like that.
It's the other Baldwin.
You're right.
I would love
Billy Baldwin.
I
was the bad guy.
want to see what like Thanksgiving's like at the Baldwin household. I think politics comes up.
It might be on an episode of their reality show.
I have to wait and see. But yeah, no, I don't know. I liked it.
What grade would you give it?
Oh, geez. A minus, B plus. It's hard. Like right in that area of like 90%, like A minus, B plus. I don't.
Yeah,
It's hard because like some of it was kind of like tropey in the like I've seen this, but whenever I would get slightly bored with it, like it cut to action. I was like, really, like, and it's so weird how like if you ask me, like, I honestly found this movie a lot more entertaining than Mission Impossible.
Okay, so
and there's no single stunt that's as good as what Mission Impossible does twice. But to get to those two big scenes, I'm like, oh my god, this one. Anytime I'm like, I get a little bored. I guess I've seen this boom action.
Yeah. This is a much. It's even a much tighter film than the fourth John Wick movie. But I remember like because Final Reckoning kind of brought me back a bit in the second half, I ended up giving that a B. And so with this, I'm like, well, I've got to give this higher because even this, it's like this also did its flashbacks way better than Final Reckoning as well.
Yeah, I think B plus is.
I'm giving it a B plus.
I think B plus is fine. I think considering that like John Wick's like an A.
Yeah.
And this is like sort of a knockoff, but I mean that's what's so weird about this. Like if this movie can fucking do this with their production hell and reshoots, why the hell can't Sony ever pump out something like Madam Web or Craven and not have it be a colossal, cringy piece of shit?
I was thinking about Sony during this in a couple of the Keanu scenes where it did kind of feel like one of the cameos from like a Sony Marvel movie.
That's the funny thing. It feels like that, and you're waiting for this to go just so batshit with like the terrible dubbing and like this whole plot not making any sense. And I'm like, no, this was still really tight. I mean, I can say the plot doesn't make sense, but that's because none of the plots. I'm like the stupid rules they have and these assassins guilds don't make any sense. Like, it's all kind of crazy. Yeah. So I'm like, in that sense, it doesn't make any sense. But compared to like something like Craven or Madam Web, where it's just completely nonsensical on any level, even within its own universe. I'm like, how did this do it?
But
like,
in fairness, I had a great time at Madam Web and Craven as well.
Yeah, but
for different reasons.
Yeah, but this is like competently.
Oh yeah, exactly.
There's not a single thing in either. Is there no? I was trying to think. I was like, maybe there was. I'm like, no, there isn't. I cannot think of a single thing in either of those movies that Doug forced me to watch that is even remotely competent. Like those two movies may as well have been directed by Doug and I. That's how freaking just off. Like, so this one like is super competent.
Yeah. No, I recommend. If you've been riding along with the series for there's 4, so this kind of the 5th one, I guess. You should enjoy this. I mean, I did. I haven't
seen the later ones, but I like the first two, and I'm like, this is like one slight step below that for me anyway. Like,
I like it better than the 4th. The 3rd, I remember liking the 3rd a lot. I haven't seen it
that's when I got that one part,
but like, but I remember really recommending that. But I'd have to compare it to this. It's just been too long since I've seen the 3rd one. Well, time to go enjoy your birthday cake now.
Oh, really quick.
Yeah.
One last action bit. You want the brilliance of the setups? It's the way that she threw the grenade at that guy, closed the door behind her. You get that explosion.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that was like, oh, that's sad. I'm here for an R-rated movie. I wanted to see somebody blow up. Leaves the hole and she jumps through. She throws a grenade and the guy just explodes right on screen. And I was just like fucking Gallagher smashing a watermelon. I'm like, all right, I love that. They
Yeah.
like played with my expectations. I'm like, I guess I'm not going to see it. And then like 30 seconds later, I'm like, yes.
Even behind the
I
door
miss
was
these
a
kind
good
of
reveal
movies.
when it made a hole on the other side
Yeah,
of the wall.
it would have been better though if the hole was like in the shape of the guy,
That's-
like
yeah.
coyote falling through the... No, and I also like that there's a kid in it, and she is so underused. I was like, mwah, thank you. Like, it's just literally a MacGuffin, and she's there
Dude.
just like minimal amount of time.
Compared to how awful they did that in that Shadow Force movie I saw a few weeks ago, there's even the same joke they do in this one where Ana de Armas says like, oh shit, and the kid says, that's a bad word. They do that same thing in Shadow Force, only the difference is that is like 80% of that movie. Like that with that annoying kid showing up in action sequences and doing lines like that.
I was
Holy
worried
shit.
because I'm like, if this becomes her babysitting this kid the rest of the movie, I'm gonna be kind of pissed about this. And I'm like, it's like they knew exactly what we wanted because they're like, no, it's the emotional linchpin for her, but now that you know that's what she is, bye.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
back to the action. I'm like, okay.
They saw Shadow Force. That's where the reshoots came from.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, good time.
Good talk. I gotta remember how I used to end these in the.